The last shuttle's engines hummed like a tired animal, vibrating through the floor panels of the observation deck. I stood there, gripping the railing, watching the blue and gray storm clouds of Krylos 7 swirl in violent patterns below. The planet had been our new home for the last 6 months, a fragile outpost of the coalition of interstellar explorers, but now it was supposed to be a temporary stopover. Soon we were leaving. Everyone was accounted for, everyone except her. Her name was Leora, and she was supposed to be the first to board. Her amber eyes had always had a glimmer of mischief and mystery, even under the harsh artificial lighting of the base. I had met her on my first day on Krylos 7, a chance encounter in the hydroponics dome, where she had been kneeling over a strange purple plant, her hands dirty with the alien soil. She looked up at me, smirked, and said, "You're not from around here, are you?" That was how it began. 6 months of shared discoveries, of quiet conversations in corridors filled with humming machinery, of stolen moments in the observation deck that felt suspended in time. But now, with the shuttle's departure imminent, she was nowhere in sight. I turned to the pilot, Captain Rylan, a wiry man with silver streaks in his dark hair. "Where's Leora?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Rylan shook his head. "She didn't come out of the lab when we called her. We searched, no sign. We're leaving in 10 minutes. We can't delay for one person." My chest tightened. I wanted to protest, to insist that we wait, but the laws of interstellar travel weren't negotiable. Every minute mattered, and delaying a shuttle could endanger all of us. I ran down the corridor toward the lab, my boots clanging against the metallic floor. The lab doors were sealed, the warning lights blinking red. Someone had to be inside. My heart pounded as I tapped the access panel, swearing under my breath when it denied me entry. "Leora," I yelled. My voice echoed across the empty hallway. "Come on. We have to go." No answer. I could feel my stomach twisting. She wasn't the type to defy orders. She had always been precise, careful, never reckless. So why would she stay behind? I heard a soft click behind me and spun around. There she was, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the swirling storm outside the reinforced windows. Her expression was unreadable, almost serene. "Leora," I said, my voice shaking. "Why are you doing this? The shuttle's leaving. You have to come with us." She didn't answer right away. She just looked at me, and for a moment, I thought she might finally speak, might give me the reason, but then she shook her head slightly. "I can't," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Can't." My hands clenched into fists. "Why? What's going on?" "We leave in minutes." She finally turned toward me, and I noticed the tears in her eyes, not for herself, but for something else. Something she was holding back. "I have to stay," she said. "I promised I would protect it." "Protect what?" My voice rose, desperation creeping in. "Leora, I don't understand." "What are you talking about?" She hesitated, biting her lower lip, then took a step closer. It's not just a research project. It's alive. It's more than the coalition understands. If I leave, it dies. And if it dies, everything dies." I felt a chill run down my spine. She was talking about the core of our research, the very thing that had brought us to Krylos 7, a strange energy organism discovered in the deepest caverns of the planet. It had been dormant for decades, maybe longer, but her team had managed to awaken it. "You can't be serious," I said. "You expect me to believe you'd stay behind alone for something that might not even survive without you?" She reached out and placed her hand on my shoulder, a gesture both comforting and heartbreaking. "I have to. I'm the only one who can stabilize it. The moment the shuttle leaves, everything depends on me. You don't have to understand, you just have to trust me." I stared at her, feeling the weight of her words like a crushing gravity. I wanted to argue, to pull her away, to drag her onto the shuttle by force if I had to. But I knew her. Leora was never reckless without reason. And I had to trust her. My voice faltered. I couldn't even finish the sentence. She stepped back slightly, eyes pleading. You have to go. Save yourself. Go tell them what's happening here. Maybe they'll understand someday. The intercom buzzed behind me. Final boarding call. All personnel must evacuate immediately. I swallowed hard, my chest tight. Leora, She held up a hand. No. Not another word. Go. I wanted to argue, to force the impossible, but time had already become a tyrant. I ran toward the shuttle, my mind screaming at me with every step, my heart fracturing with each passing second. I could feel her gaze burning into my back, the silent weight of her sacrifice crushing me. When I finally reached the shuttle, the engines roared to life, and I watched through the viewport as Krylo's 7 storm clouds blurred into a massive gray. The lab, her, everything was disappearing behind us. I should have felt relief that we were safe, but instead, I felt a hollow ache, a void where her presence had been. The days that followed were unbearable. Every crew member tried to maintain routine, but I couldn't focus. Every glance at the empty seat across from mine reminded me of Leora's absence. Every message we received from the Coalition, every report on research progress, every signal from Krylo's 7, all of it was tainted by her absence. I tried to contact her, of course. Multiple attempts to reach the lab's communication network were met with silence. The planetary shield had been left active, isolating her from any outside connection. I understood that now. She had severed contact to focus entirely on her mission. Weeks passed. Months. The shuttle had reached the Coalition station, but I couldn't shake the memory of her final words. If I leave, it dies. And if it dies, everything dies. I tried to convince myself that she had survived, that she had succeeded, that we would reunite someday. But deep down, a part of me feared that I would never see her again. Then one night, I received a coded transmission. It was fragmented, corrupted barely. Intelligible, but I could recognize her handwriting pattern in the metadata. A unique digital signature she had created for secure messages. Do not come back. It is stable. I am fading. But the world lives. Remember me not for fear, but for hope. Al. I couldn't breathe. The realization hit me like a meteor. She had succeeded, but at the cost of her own life. She had stayed behind. She had protected the organism. And now she was gone. I sank into the observation chair, staring out at the infinite blackness of space, wondering how someone could leave you alive in body, but shattered in spirit. Her sacrifice had saved countless lives, had preserved the future of the colony, but it had broken me in a way nothing else ever could. Months turned into a year. The Coalition hailed the discovery as a triumph, but the victory was hollow for me. I walked the corridors, attended the ceremonies, gave the speeches, but inside, I was still on Krylo's 7, staring at her amber eyes, feeling the warmth of her hand on my shoulder. Then, one quiet evening, as I was reviewing research logs from Krylo's 7, a strange anomaly appeared. A small energy pulse, faint and erratic, originating from deep within the planetary core. The readings matched the signature of the organism she had stayed behind to protect. And somehow, inexplicably, it was alive. A single tear slid down my cheek as I whispered into the empty control room. Leora, you did it. Her voice wasn't there, not in sound, not in flesh. But I felt it in the energy, in the pulse that radiated through the lab systems, through the data, through the very essence of what she had sacrificed herself for. She had stayed behind, and she had succeeded. But what she had said, the words that had broken me, if I leave, it dies. And if it dies, everything dies, were now not just a memory, but a testament. A reminder of what it meant to love something enough to risk everything. To give yourself entirely for a cause, for a life beyond your own. I could never forgive myself for leaving her. I could never stop mourning the fact that I would never hold her hand again, never see that mischievous glimmer in her eyes. But in the pulse of the organism, in the quiet stability of Krylos, 7, I knew she had done the impossible. She had saved the planet, the life within it, and in her own way, she had saved me too. I stayed there for hours, listening to the hum of the systems, the faint, irregular pulse of life she had nurtured, and slowly, painfully, I began to understand what true courage meant. Not the courage of the shuttle pilots, not the courage of the coalition, but the courage of a single person willing to stand alone, to sacrifice everything, and to say words that break a heart so that countless others might live. I never stopped loving her. I never stopped thinking about her. But I learned to live with the ache, to carry it like a wound that healed the world outside even as it festered inside. And every time I looked at the pulse of Krylos 7, I heard her voice. Not as a sound, but as a memory etched into the very fabric of the planet. She stayed behind. I whispered to the empty observation deck, my voice trembling. And she said something that broke me. And I understood that some sacrifices are not meant to be witnessed, some bravery not meant to be recognized, and some love endures even across the infinite void of space.